So what's happening today?
Last longish run before Sunday.
And how longish?
45 minutes, easy.
See you later.
See you.
So that's the time Mary's gone out, roughly, and remember she's in half marathon training. So there goes Mary, as you saw, out on her run as part of her taper. She's running for 45 minutes, and that, for a person training for a half marathon, is actually quite a small amount of time, quite a minimal distance. It is her longest run of the taper period, but even that, it's a small run. And I want to talk to you just quickly about the taper, because it occurred to me in the last few weeks that some people either don't know what a taper is, or they don't want to do it. And I want to argue the case for why you should always taper before your big race. Oh, and now I'm wearing a wrist support because this is actually now becoming more painful than this, and I have to have an MRI on it to see if I've ruptured the ligaments. So, you know, all fun, can't swim, but we'll see where we go. Now, a taper, there's only 2 reasons that you should do a taper before your big event, and that is to freshen up and to sharpen up. And if you get a taper right, that's exactly what should happen, and by race day you should fly. Now bear in mind on this that a taper is extremely individual to you, so what I'm about to suggest is what I've found works for me, works for Mary, works for some of the athletes that I coach. It might not necessarily work for you, you've got to find what works for you. But a taper is a reduction in your training load in the last 1 or 2 weeks, depending on the distance that you're training for. And that, therefore, gives your body time to recover from the training load that you've been going through. It gets a chance to freshen up. And also in a taper, what you do is you do shorter, sharper sessions, so it wakes up some of that speed, some of that juicy kind of speed in your body that you have without overstressing you, without pushing you too hard or too far. And I'm going to demonstrate the theory behind taper, as I usually do, with a little bit of drawing. So the first thing is to bear in mind this is a huge simplification on a topic that can be very nuanced, but for visual representation, we'll go with this. Let's think of training and tapering in terms of the 3 F's. Fatigue, which is how tired training is making you. Form, how fresh and race ready you feel. And fitness, which is the result of all of the training. With fatigue, there should usually be a progressive and gradual rise as you move through your training, because you're working harder as you get fitter. At the same time, your form will gradually decrease the harder you train. All the while, your fitness steadily increases in the middle of the 2. Now, you get 2 weeks out from your race and into taper mode. By reducing your training load during the taper gradually, your aim is to reduce the fatigue and increase your form, getting you ready for the race. Your fitness is going to reduce a little, but it's only gradual, and the feeling of mental and physical freshness will make up for it. And you're good to go. So if you're at a loss for quite how much to taper in that last week or 2, then remember, as I said earlier, everybody is individual, everybody is different, and everybody responds differently to when they reduce training or increase it. My general rule of thumb for me and the people that I coach is that in the first week, if you're doing a 2-week taper, I reduce the training load by 30%. So you still have 70% volume, you're giving your body a little bit of a rest, but not a complete one. It's starting to recover and sharpen up. Then, in that last week, I come down to maybe 50, even 40% of actual training load, so a 60% taper to give your body a really good chance to properly freshen up, get some short, sharp sessions in there, wake up the speed, and come race day, you should fly. Now, you have to experiment with this, you have to find what works for you. There's no one-size-fits-all approach, but I would definitely recommend tapering before your event to freshen yourself up. Because here's the big key takeaway. Are you ready for this? I almost feel like we should reintroduce the segment that we haven't done for a few weeks. Are you ready for it? Ah, that's nice, isn't it? This is the key takeaway for a taper. You cannot gain fitness in a 2-week period. Usually it takes 2 weeks for the physiological adaptations from your training to actually take hold. So if you train all the way up to your events, then all you're doing is over-fatiguing yourself, overtraining yourself. You won't get those juicy training benefits until a few weeks later. So I would say stop at around the 2-week mark. You're not going to get any fitter from that point, and allow yourself to get fresher from then on. That's the takeaway from this. Do all the usual stuff, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Have a great week. Looking forward to next week. It's Project 90 for Mary on Sunday. So there we go. How'd you feel?
I don't know. It's so confusing. I think I feel okay, it's slow.
Oh, good. Well done.
Hot.
Longest run done.